All right, as the title states, Aaron Boone needs to go. And yes, the time has come to fire Aaron Boone. Where do I begin? and I'm sure Dustin has his feelings, but I got a lot to say about this. So I posted on our Twitter page this afternoon. I said, hey, this is what we're going to talk about tonight. And I posted a GIF of him, that infamous clip from 2019, his first year as manager of the New York Yankees. And we go back in time in memory lane. This was shortly after Brett Gardner. Good old Brett Gardner.
Oh, Gardy plants one. I love Brett.
The Gardy party.
Yeah.
I gotta love a good Gardy party. He strikes out. And I guess the umpire is having I don't know if he had a bad day or a strike zone was just too wide or too narrow or whatever. Aaron Boone initially got his being a bonnet about regards to this umpire. But you see that clip, that at the time famous clip of him just handing the umpire his lunch. And he has that quote saying, "You got to lock this. You got to tighten it up. Tighten up your game. Fix this ish now. Tighten it up." He gets ejected from the game. So both he and Brett Gardner both got ejected from the game. And that Aaron Boone, I absolutely loved, because he was saying, "My guys are savages in that box, in that batter's box. They're gonna get at it every time we're at bat. You're holding us up from doing our jobs. Tighten it up." And like that was the management style we all wanted to see as Yankee fans.
That was his pro as a manager. And just a quick aside, Ryan, not to interrupt, but a couple of months ago saw this Yankee fan lives in the capital region. Now, I don't know who you are, anonymous Yankee fan, but first of all, you were smoking a cigar in your car, which that's a move right there.
Baller move. That's a baller move.
But he had a license plate frame that was rusted, I would say. It was aged, but it said "Savages in the Box." And it was a New York Yankees license plate frame. And it brought me back to that. I was like, oh my goodness, this guy bleeds pinstripes.
He does. Oh my goodness. So then we had 2020 and all that mess that happened. 2021 came along, a decent season. 2022, actually, no, it was 2019. That's when they lost to the Astros in that infamous series where we come to find out the Astros were doing some unscrupulous things.
I will never forgive Alex Bregman for saying it's almost like we knew it was what was coming with a smile. The arrogance to do that while you're cheating.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like, well, I didn't want my shirt to be ripped off because I just got a new tattoo and I didn't want to get it damaged. All right. Okay. Okay, Jose. 2020, and the beat keeps going on. We start to see cracks in his managerial style, especially around 2023, where you just see the over-reliance on the long ball, the questionable pitching decisions. You see him kind of get into a little bit of a tiff on the mound with Garrett Cole, especially because Garrett Cole knows he's got good stuff, and Boone's trying to limit his pitching, trying to save his arm, as he would say. But Cole's a gamer. Cole's an absolute gamer. He's a player. He wants to stay out there for as long as he can. And now it comes to 2025, and I saw this stat. I got bookmarked actually. It's from Max Goodman on Twitter. This was after last night's game when they lost once again. Took an early 2-0 lead. Another error leads to 4 runs, and they wound up going ahead. But then at the end they blow it, of course.
Yep.
So Max Goodman, covering the Yankees for NewJersey.com. And he mentioned this tweet. He says the Yankees had a 7-game lead in the American League East on May 28th. They were 15 games above 500. Since then, The Yankees are 25-33. After last night's loss, their fourth in a row since the trade deadline. That's a killer right there. Fourth in a row since the trade deadline. The Yankees are 5.5 games back of the Blue Jays for third in the AL East, and they're only 7 games above 500. That is inexcusable. The collapse this team is experiencing is, I can't say it's historic, but it's damn near historic. I mean, for a team to be 7 games up right after, or right before, or right after Memorial Day. Actually, Wednesday after Memorial Day, they're 7 games up, and now they're 5.5 games back. That's a 12.5 game flip. That swing is incredible. It's an incredible swing. The only collapse I can think of that's kind of close to this was the 95 AL West division crown between the Seattle Mariners and then Anaheim Angels, where the Angels had this huge lead going into August, and they had an absolutely monumental collapse. But that was when Ken Griffey Jr. came back to the lineup, because remember, he had broken his wrist earlier in the season. But he was back. The bats got hot for the Mariners. Pitching was on point, and all of a sudden, things flipped on its head, and the Mariners won the AL West on the last day of the season, and the Angels missed out. I think the Angels missed out on the wild card because the Yankees grabbed that wild card. So, but the last 4 games, especially, and I gotta give credit where credit's due. I give credit to Hal Steinbrenner for letting Brian Cashman go shopping, do shopping at the trade deadline to get some extra bats, to get some better infield defense, to get some arms in the bullpen, because we saw some of the arms in the bullpen had been kind of lacking, or guys are missing or injured or got demoted. And I gotta give credit where credit's due. Brian Cashman did the things that identified the issues, went out, got the players that they needed. I mean, Ryan McMahon was doing pretty decently up until this past series, but they've lost 4 in a row since the trade deadline ended. Inexcusably got swept by the Marlins this past weekend, and last night they lose to the Texas Rangers. And I can't help but wonder, what's it going to take for Aaron Boone to change his managerial style, for him to realize you can't always get your runs with the long ball. Like, you have to get, our friend of the show, Jeff Levac, who was just on the show Saturday. I remember him talking on their show on Levac and Goss, talking about how back in the day, Joe Torre didn't have to rely on the long ball too much. Like, you just get Jeter on base, get Bernie on base.
Yes.
We'll get you home.
That's the thing that people feel, people look back at those Joe Torre managed Yankees teams, and they're like, oh, of course, those teams had power. They had great hitters. They did, but Joe Torre knew how to play the old cliche of situational baseball. Those Yankee teams could play small when they needed to and get runners on base and score runs other ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm flabbergasted, especially after this weekend, particularly the moment when Jazz Chisholm decided to try to fake the runner after the batter before him popped up in the infield, got an infield out, and then got doubled up because he tried to fake going to second on a pop-up and gets winds up getting it out. And that's what Kevin, friend of the show, Kevin Wilson, our boy of summer, says in the comment section. Question: how much more embarrassing does it have to get than getting doubled off first on a pop-up to second? No more embarrassing than the fact that Aaron Boone had a conversation with Jazz Chisholm and kept him in the game.
Yeah.
That, to me, is flabbergasting. That, to me, is just absolute. I know he's trying to be a player's manager. I know the Yankees wanted somebody who could relate to today's baseball player. And Aaron Boone supposedly was that guy. But sometimes you gotta be the dad in the situation and punish your kid for making a mistake.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that. And they asked him after the game, the media asked Aaron Boone, he was defending his decision. They asked Jazz Chisholm about the situation, and he said, "Yeah, if it happened again, I would have done the same, tried to do the same thing." Not even little leaguers make that mistake. Like, come on, hold your guys accountable. And that's the one thing that Aaron Boone is not good at.
No,
he is not good at holding players accountable. I don't know if it's because he was one. You just can't seem to hold players accountable. Can't call them out in the media. Can't call them out. Can't yell at them. I mean, famously, I was going to talk about this on Saturday, but I'm old enough to remember, or at least looking in the archives, when Reggie Jackson got pulled by Billy Martin in 1977 for lazily running after a fly ball that could have been caught, and he didn't catch it. Got pulled from the game, and they were having an argument in the dugout.
Yeah.
Which was that
broadcast? Yeah, everyone could see it.
The whole world could see it. And you don't see that anymore because I don't want to offend this player because he's not playing 200% to his potential, and he's not. I don't want to call him out because I'm trying to be sensitive. I'm trying not to hurt his feelings, but like, hurt people's feelings. Hurt them publicly if you have to. That's what good managers do. If you can't play to the level that you're supposed to be playing, which is in the major leagues, then stay home. Stay home. Demand a trade. Ask for your release. You're gonna get paid anyway. I mean, that's what happened with Marcus Stroman. Got paid $18 million to sit at home after they got Luis Gil in the back in the lineup, and he didn't pitch very well on Sunday, which I thought was very surprising against this Marlins team that is suddenly an okay baseball team. Maybe they heard my prediction for them to lose 100 games this year, and they're spitting me too. It's like all these baseball teams hear me.
Yes.
They're spitting me.
It happened to both of us because the Angels heard me, and they're playing better than they have in a long time. Yeah. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Brian. I'll just jump in briefly here. But Aaron Boone, we love the fact that he was a player's manager and he stick up for his guys, but that act gets old when there's no accountability, like you said, on the other side. And let's call it what it is. Devin Williams has been awful in the closer role. He blew another lead last night. He's blown. I saw a graphic and I was going to screenshot it and send it to you before the show, but then my feed refreshed and I couldn't find it. But he has blown a number of leads in the ninth, a number, and yet Boone continues to go back to him. And that's the thing. At some point as a manager, you have to decide, okay, I don't care what kind of contract this guy signed. I don't care that he was our big acquisition. It is not working. I've got to tinker. You have David Bednar, who had his own struggles. He had his own struggles, but he seems to have righted the ship. They brought Bednar in the 8th, I think, last night, and he was okay. And you give the ball to Williams in the 9th. Why don't you try it out and let Bednar pitch the 9th? See what happens. You've also got Luke Weaver, who for stretches was good as the Yankees closer. The Devin Williams experience has failed. You want to rebuild his confidence? Keep him in the 7th, 8th inning role because he seemed to thrive there. You went back to him too early. It hasn't worked, but that's Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone will not pivot. It seems like he will not pivot. He will not stray from his style. And like I said, he's always going to support his players, which is great when you're winning, but it emerges as a pattern when you can tell that there's no accountability on the team. And also your point about relying on the long ball is dead on. Let's call it what it is, Yankee fans. Without Aaron Judge, the complexion of this lineup changes, and they have to change how they play baseball. Giancarlo Stanton can still get hot in streaks, but he's not the player he once was.
Nope.
Jazz Chisholm hasn't hit the way that we thought he would. Paul Goldschmidt's numbers have slid off a cliff. You've got to figure out other ways. The home run is not your saving grace. And the thing is, you could say, oh, well, that's just the thing that happened this year. No, it happened last year when Aaron Judge cooled down in the postseason. Look what happened to them. It happened the year before. I can't remember if it was 23 or 22, but there was that year that the Yankees offense was as hot as anybody in the first half of the year, and then they cratered in the second half of the year because guess what happened? They stopped hitting home runs and they slid. They had that horrible slide. It's what happens seemingly every year under Aaron Boone, and at some point you got to stop blaming it on all these other things. I always say, oh, you never have enough pitching, and injuries hurt, like the Garrett Cole injury right before the year. Can't deny it changed the complexion of the rotation. And Max Fried, the addition has been great, but now he's got, what is it? Is it a blister or something?
Blister.
There's something he's got. He clearly hasn't been the same guy, but you can't keep blaming it on, oh, if only this person was healthy or if only this person was helping. It is the manager's job. Like you said, there is a person who watches the show frequently who says his problem is with Cashman regarding the problems with the Yankees. But like you said, Cashman went out and got the Yankees pieces, got Boone pieces to fix the leaks on this team. And for whatever reason, he just can't seem to mix and match the right guys or figure out when a change is needed or anything.
No. And I hate the way he juggles the lineup constantly. He's moving Aaron Judge around. And by the way, that's another big problem. As soon as Aaron Judge was announced that he had an injury, where's the offense? The offense is down south.
That's the thing. The lineup completely changes when he's out.
Mm-hmm. So what brings me to my point is that I think as fans, yes, we want to see change. He's in the, what's this now? Is it 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4? This is his 7th season with the Yankees. He's gotten to the World Series once, lost that World Series last year because the Dodgers, and correctly so, identified the issue that the Yankees aren't disciplined on the base paths. And that's the number of issues where, and I think the path to the World Series last year was too easy because they went through the AL Central. They beat the Royals in 4 games. Then they beat the Guardians in 5. And you just thought to yourself, all right, it's the AL Central teams, and then they faced the Dodgers and they got absolutely pounded. Except for Game 4 when they actually showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had that monumental collapse in the 5th inning of Game 5. It's like, this team was going to be is not built for is not built to win. They're not built to win. And the sad thing about it is, as much as fans want Aaron Boone to be fired, Hal Steinbrenner is not going to fire him. Part of the reason why is because he's not going to pay Aaron Boone to stay home 2 months. For 3 more months for one, because I believe it's signing a 2-year extension at the end of the 2023 or 2024 season. I can't remember which season. He signed an extension. So anytime Aaron Boone gets asked a question and he has to, he defends himself. He goes after a reporter for asking a question. He goes after his first base coach for not telling Jazz Chisholm to come back, even though Jazz had made the decision to try to make the Marlins second baseman make an error. It just seems like he knows he's not going to get fired, so he's not earning his pinstripes, so to speak. But he's coming from an area of entitlement, and he feels like, oh, we're the Yankees. We're wearing pinstripes. We assume we're always going to go to the postseason. So we're going to try to co-start. We're going to get really hot in the spring. And then we had this weird summer swoon. And then also we catch fire in September, at the end of August and into September, we make the playoffs. We're always going to get in the playoffs. We're the Yankees. We're the New York Yankees. We're always going to be in the playoffs. And it's just this management from a sense of entitlement because he knows he's not going to he's not going to be let go because Hal Steinbrenner's too focused on the bottom line and being profitable than actually winning championships. So that's why you're going to see Aaron Boone in the dugout for the rest of this season and probably beyond until that next contract runs out.
Well, Ryan, I have some bad news for you because I did some real-time research. Per MLB.com on February 20th of 2025, the New York Yankees announced today that they have signed Aaron Boone to a 2-year contract extension through the 2027 season.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
Oh, man, I didn't think we'd see that until football season. I forgot you added that one last year.
Let's go to the comments in the comments section. I'm getting way too angry now. Julie from Michigan saying, hello, gentlemen. Good evening to you, Julie. Our friend of the show from overseas, Sick Diggy, saying, this edition of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Big Bad Beards, the ultimate store for facial hair. Be it corporate, hipster, or hippie, we've got you covered. Got beard? Get covered. And Yuck Mouth Dental Insurance. Either keep it minty fresh or keep it shut. He also says there's utter chaos and confusion in that Yankees clubhouse. Can we say delusional? If you're a player, you have to say that, especially if you're a New York Yankee, you have to say the right things, or else the media will go right at you.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of it. They just feel like they can't speak their minds. And I have to wonder if I'm a player, I'm secretly going, what the hell is going on with Booney? What's he doing? What's he making this decision? What's he making all these decisions he's making with the lineup and with the pitching and how he's managing those pitchers and the analytics stuff? It's just like where's your touch? Like, where's your just like feeling for the game?
Well, you have to wonder about the people around Boone. If everyone's afraid to say, hey, can we look at change? And we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, okay? Aaron Boone could be addressing some of these situations behind closed doors because he doesn't want to do it in the media, which I have no problem with that. But I'll go back to it. It was Mike Holmgren who said to Bill Walsh at a team meeting for the San Francisco 49ers, Bill said, what's the problem? Why are we losing? And no one would say anything. And finally, Mike Holmgren said, I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is the quarterback. Bill Walsh got mad. He said, you need to pick one and stay with it. It is messing with the offensive, feel of the team. And Bill Walsh he got angry by his standards, left the room, and everybody dressed down Mike Holmgren. And then Bill Walsh comes back in. He says, you know what, Mike, you're right. But if this goes wrong, I'm going to have to fire you. So sometimes you got to put your cojones on the table, I guess,
Julie's saying the AL Central was pretty tight last season. That is true. That is very true. Sick saying, what in the all types of New York blue and orange hell was that clip? That's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Sick. He also says, could it be that Aaron Boone is losing his touch? Yeah, there's a point. There's a certain point in a manager's time with a team, or any or a coach with any sort of football team, hockey team, basketball team, where the message gets lost.
Yeah,
and if I'm a player, I have to start wondering, should I even listen to this guy anymore?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, Jazz Chisholm didn't on Saturday, and we're still talking about it on Tuesday.
Well, and that's the thing. To me, there's two types of managers or coaches or any across any sport, Ryan. And let me know if you agree. You got the disciplinarian who the players tune them out eventually because they get sick of being rode all the time, and then you have the ultra players coach where there's no accountability, there's nothing. So players know that they're not going to get. There's not going to be consequences, so then they just do what they want and they just disregard the message. And I think Aaron Boone is the latter of those two options. And to me, those are the two types. And the right manager that is able to, or coach that is able to last the longest, is enough of a disciplinarian to command respect, but also knows when to take their foot off the gas. That's why, I mean, Pete Carroll, the thing is, when you're winning, that rah-rah attitude that he has, people buy into it. But when you're losing and things are going a little south, that rah-rah attitude, players don't buy it.